Ek het baie bokke gehad. Hulle was so oor die 200-300 bokke gewees. Toe kom hier en toe bly net 10 oor.
I was always interested in photography. I bought my first camera, a Pentax SP500 in 1974. But I really grew and developed as a photographer when I started to take on some serious and very complex projects. My filmmaking career started in 1982 when the South African Broadcasting Corporation appointed me as a television producer. That was for a program, an actuality program called Verslag. In 1984, Dani van der Walt, a friend, and myself approached the management and asked them to launch a program focusing on man and nature. That was 50/50, and 50/50 is still the longest running magazine show on the SABC. My years at the SABC were the best and the worst of times. In 1986, a general state of emergency was declared, and it was a very bad time for investigative journalists to work in. So I left the SABC and started an academic career at the then Potchefstroom University.
Dit is hoekom ons wil hê dat hulle 'n grondige kennis moet hê van kamerawerk, van draaiboek skryf en veral van redigering.
The Voices of the Drylands project really started in 2004-2005. We, the documentary video section of the School of Communication Studies of the Northwest University, were approached by our botany department to do a documentary on their work on desertification in arid regions in South Africa. So some of these regions were specified for this documentary. I was very fortunate at that stage to have a very capable and creative master's student who was looking for a topic as part of a master's degree in communication practice. She was Liesel Dana van Skalkwyk, and Liesel Dana completed the documentary in 2006.
In the painful silence of bare lands, in the whisper of changing sands, like a cry in agonizing birth, hear the calls of life, the groans of earth. For all who live upon the soil. To survive, they must toil. but for men and earth to give their best. In due time, they both cry for rest.
The Voices of the Drylands documentary focused on how ordinary livestock farmers tackle the problem of desertification, the encroaching desert. What do they do to counter fell degradation? How they manage their livestock, and how they find alternative livelihoods. So the whole focus of the documentary was conservation.
Baie belangrijk. Want het bestaan van ons is als de grond bewaar. Om ons leven heel te maken op die grond. Maar als ons die grond dat niet bewaart, dan kan ons niet bestaan te doen.
Although we were commissioned by the botany department of our university, the whole project was a brainchild of the United Nations, and more specifically its Desert Margins program. Now, this program to counter desertification in various parts of the world was also sponsored by the Global Environmental Fund. So, we were actually working for the United Nations.
Through the sands of time, voices have their turn to tell how they live, to share what they learn. Their common purpose stands. To live, we must care for Earth. Heed the voices of the drylands.
The Voices of the Drylands project had two legs. The first one, a documentary video produced by Liesel Donner van Schalkwyk, and secondly, a photographic one produced by me. So while the students were filming the characters and the areas, I started to take photographs. And then I soon realized that I was busy with something special. What caught my eye when I started working on the Voices of the Dryland project was the absence of young people, especially at the stock post. Most of them were loitering in the settlements, or they were looking for jobs in towns and cities. And then I realized that what we were actually documenting were vanishing lifestyles. When a documentary filmmaker or a documentary photographer takes on a project like this, you need a lot of research. You need a sound understanding of the political, cultural and historical context of the people and the places you're dealing with. This was especially true of the Voices of the Drylands project. We were interested in the history of communal areas and the lifestyles the people developed in these areas. Well, it took 9 years before I held my first exhibition called Voices of the Drylands. And one may ask, why so long? I think that over time I developed a certain and special relationship with the characters and with the environment.
Moet sukkel in jou lewe, jy moet sukkel in die lewe. Dis 'n maklike storie. Dit wil gaan doen.
A documentary photographer can't just go in, grab, get out and think that this is reality. You need time, and it took me 9 years. Ethical issues? Yes, there are a lot of ethical issues involved in a project like this. And the problem for documentary filmmakers, documentary photographers, is how do you reflect reality truthfully? There are a lot of social ills: alcohol abuse, teenage pregnancies, unemployment. And the problem was, how do you reflect these social ills? Now I decided to be more positive and to concentrate on vanishing lifestyles. I experienced to a certain extent a catch-22 situation in the communal areas. On the one hand, you have the social grants, the pensions, and contributions from family members working in the towns and cities. And all these benefits ensure a better life. But in a wage economy, something will suffer. Why bother to make ash bread in a cooking shelter if you can buy a loaf of bread in a shop? Or why live the hardships of a stockpost life while you can buy meat at a butchery? So in a wage economy, traditional lifestyles will suffer.
Mami seto ya, akhirnya mami seto ya, azek dari sebat mobil sekolah.
Ja, die pijlen staan in brand. Oh, die pijlen staan in brand. Toen lek mos een Karisdorpse droom.
What is the future of the Voices of the Drylands project? I will still be going back to film these traditional lifestyles, but I'm quite sure that in the near future you will only see these cultural forms in open-air museums, exhibitions, and cultural festivals.
Aku masih online.